Hi, this is Anna Crowe with the Get Real podcast, where CEOs, CMOs, and communications experts share their real advice. It's 6 questions under 9 minutes because we get to it real fast. So let's get to it. I'm excited to have today's guest on. Could you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name is Kraemer, and the Vice President of Aria Biolabs. Aria Biolabs is a company that specializes in food ingredient development as well as delivery system development. So the markets that we would cater to are consumer brands and finished pharmaceutical companies developing drug delivery systems, personal care systems, and finished ingredient offerings. So.
Very cool. You guys are in a very important space, especially right now. Blake, what would you say is the best thing about being a leader in your industry?
I think there are a couple of things, obviously. One would be just the people. When you look at our industry, and we're serving food, dietary, supplement, pharma industries full of really, really great people. And it's full of knowledge. So I can tell you, as I've continued to climb the ladder, every step of the way, I end up learning more than the previous stop. So ultimately, it's the people and it's the leaders that we have in our industry that make it worthwhile. So.
That's awesome. And I love that answer because you focus on the people. And part of that is, of course, the connections that you create with various individuals, right? So the next question is really about that. It's about authentic connections. I hear from other executives and leaders that creating authentic connections can be challenging when it's really noisy out there. And I would love to get your take on that.
Right. I think the one thing, being in this specific industry for nearly 15 years, I think the thing that I've always been able to do is remain consistent in my communication and approach. I don't know if it's tried and true, but remaining consistent in the communication with customers within your network, and also never resting and trying to expand upon that network. Successes and wins for your business come in all shapes and sizes. And in a lot of cases, it's in areas that you never really expected. So, continuing to cultivate that network with a consistent approach and just being super responsive and willing to speak to anyone, I think is something that even now more than ever is important.
Absolutely. I joke in my book that you can either be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, but you can't be both. So keep it consistent. So I feel like you're right on point. There's so much value to that. People know where they stand with you. They know what to expect. You're not throwing any curveballs, which is really important in creating those trusting connections.
And at the end of the day, people want to know what they're getting into when they work with you. And if they're going to fight for an answer for a month from you, that's an issue. So to know that you're going to be super responsive, super respectful of the relationship, ultimately means that you're going to be a good business partner.
Absolutely. Do you have any other real advice for other leaders? Is there anything else you think is really important?
Yeah, I've listened to some of your previous podcasts, so I'm going to try to give a somewhat different answer for you. But I think it's really knowing your market, your development cycles, and your sales cycles. I think that's really, really important, specifically when you're bringing innovation to market. I've fallen into this trap many times, and even with Aria Biolabs, that you're so excited about the innovation that you think that the commercial process is going to be much, much faster. But ultimately, the cost of innovation is time. So the more innovative something is, the longer it's ultimately going to take to commercialize and bring to a finished product. So that's what I would say is know your market. Don't get jaded by the exciting innovation that you're doing. Rather, stay true to what you know and the cycles that correspond with your market.
That's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Very cool. Well, are there any other successful executives such as yourself that you would like to give a shout out to or believe should be on this podcast?
Yeah, I think there are a couple people. Obviously, we could spend hours talking about how many people to recommend, but I think two that have a really, really unique experience that would bring just a wonderful knowledge base to the podcast would be a woman, Jekyll, who is within our industry, but on the consumer packaged and pharmaceutical side. She's worn many hats at many organizations. She's built really an innovative portfolio of developments, and she's just a really dynamic thinker. So that would be, I think, a logical person to speak to. The next one is someone that's been a bit of a mentor of mine. His name's Jeff Avila, and he is more focused on personal care and developing personal care brands. He's just a wonderful person first and foremost, but he's just been able to have success after success after success. It's not easy to duplicate success. I just think that he'd be, again, a wonderful asset to have and speak with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Our last question is more of a back in time question. It's nice to get a little bit of a perspective of where people got started. So could you tell us about your first job?
My first job out of college, or my first job in general?
Either one.
So I grew up in a rural part of Minnesota. So I worked on a farm for a summer, which was very, very challenging, but it got me in great shape. And the first job out of college was with a Italian pharma company called Chemi, which specialized in drug APIs and nutraceutical ingredients. So those were my first two jobs.
Very cool. Well, Blake, how can people get a hold of you or learn more about the company, what you guys are doing?
Yeah, you can go to our website, AUREA, AUREA biolabs.com, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So awesome. Blake Kraemer.
Perfect. Thanks so much for being on, and thanks everyone for tuning in. This is Anna Crowe with the Get Real podcast. For more insights, visit us at crowepr.com. Have an awesome day. Thank you.